As that we're good.
Okay. So, last time was pretty much just a giant shopping session.
It was great.
We are 95% done with shopping. There's another little bit of shopping you can do at a couple other places. But shopping done. Moving on. We don't even need a recap because shopping. Other than for the fact that a couple of you dropped off items to get enchanted or to get otherwise fixed or altered. And I think the longest time span on an item anybody is waiting for is going to be about 3.5 days. So unless they want to leave that item there and make do without for an extended period, you guys are stuck on Bral for at least that long. So, from that, you all are kind of walking out of the greater market area in the middle city. And looking around the town, where do you guys want to head from here?
Star charts. Oh wait, I'm kidding. So we're visiting my to-do list from last time. The temple district was on the list to visit the druid who runs a temple there for Liliana.
Really?
So there is a druid in the temple district that Lily is supposed to go talk to, or is interested in talking to after speaking to Luigi. And there is also the College of Celestian.
Yes, I have that as a slightly lower priority because that's like a want, not necessarily a need.
Mm-hmm. There's more than enough other temples and such if anybody wants to go looking at other places and into other things there as well. So, is that we want to move on to the temple district, or does somebody else want to point the group in a different direction?
Questions, comments, concerns about going to the temple district?
That's the plot stuff we got going on, right?
Some of the plot stuff.
Some of it.
There's a few plot things.
I just got fun stuff, so.
There's also Trixie wants to fight in the arena. Other items on the list here.
Yep.
Okay. Heading towards Temple District, going once, going twice, heading to Temple District. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you all have to kind of make your way through a larger part of the middle city to get to the Temple District. The Temple District itself is on a kind of plateau-ish area that is on even ground with the Lake of Bral, which is the giant lake that kind of bisects the asteroid, goes all the way through. And the only thing higher than the Temple District and the Lake of Bral is the High City, which is just a little bit higher up on a secondary plateau area, and then the castle palace itself of Starhaven, which is the upmost, tallest section of the asteroid. And as you all move through the city, it's again, a very distinctly different space than the Low City, which was super, super compact and kind of shabby and ramshackle with different buildings of different types and eras and materials, just kind of hanging over each other and over some of the alleys and walkways and paths. Here it's much more uniform. It is still very tight quarters. There isn't breathing room. There is like a very tiny alley that only one of you or two of you can walk down side by side between some buildings, but others are backed right up against each other. So all the windows are either front-facing or back-facing. However, as you're kind of moving through some of the more residential districts, winding your way up to the temple district, you can hear noises from what you assume to be closed off courtyards or gardens that are in the center of blocks of houses. And everything is a little bit cleaner, a little bit brighter, as fewer of the buildings hang over the main walkways. So you can see more of the sky above, and the ships and creatures moving to and fro above the rock. And once you approach the primary temple district, the buildings break off fewer and fewer and fewer. And you see gardens and pathways of plants. Some of you recognize, some of you have never seen before. And you see fountains and statues, and it's much more manicured, and the noise level does not necessarily decrease, though, as you enter into what first is the primary kind of central square area of the temple district. And you can see all of the temples on their various hills and down their various pathways leading away from you. And you can see people coming and going from just about every temple, some with many more people in front of, some with only one or two wandering about. And these are buildings that are vastly different. You see one that is a very simple, very small, almost wooden shack, to some that look like they could be like manor palace houses of sorts. Of building materials ranging from wood to stone to metal to even one that seems to be made of crystal. And the noise of worshippers and of clergy of these various temples just fills the air with a very different sort of sound. Some of it music, some of it calls to prayer, some of it actual prayers, some of it talking in hushed whispers or laughing. You can even hear a couple of arguments as you pass between neighboring clergy, it seems. Not anything you're overly worried about immediately, but still slightly amusing to see. And I need perception checks from everyone.
Yo! Let's fucking go, natural 20!
Having to check my count of people here. Okay. So as you are all wandering, tell me what each of you are either looking for in particular, or what you think you would notice first in a area like this. Start with Trixie.
Anything shiny. Like, I feel like she's just kind of following the group more than anything, but it definitely is, like, if she sees something that is shiny or eye-catching in general.
Your moth is showing.
Yes, it is.
ADHD moth activated. Finn, what would you notice first, do you think?
Any, like, deluxe primo ingredients, cooking utensils, maybe a nice bag.
Alright. If you are joining us at the moment, Mandy, when you have a chance, give me a perception check. Lily, what are you looking for first and primarily? Piper?
Uh-oh.
Piper says hang on.
Okay. What are you looking for, Joe, while Piper adjusts?
Booker walking up, seeing kind of the buildings become more sparse and the grounds become better groomed. He would be looking for kind like a banner or a flag, in kind of like pirate / sailor mode, looking for the obvious symbol that is waving to denote who belongs where to what faction or something. So he's looking at hanging symbols.
Okay. Piper, are you back?
I don't even hear her on my end, so
Oh,
Oak boy.
no.
Or girl.
Hey, there we go. Druid person, you said?
Oak boy.
Oh boy, okay.
Or girl. Oak them.
Professor Oak.
Mandy, for
Oh, no.
context for you, the group has moved on to the Temple District. They have a couple of things they're wanting to look for and things that they've been pointed towards that they might be interested in trying to find or people they want to talk to. And just asking everybody at the moment that moving into this temple district, which has temples devoted to various gods and pantheons and domains and just wildly different buildings and people, what would Taylor first notice or be most interested in looking at or seeing?
Actually, what everyone else is interested in, so she's probably taking notes on what everyone else is doing.
Okay. So, as you all are walking down the first kind of the main pathway, where some of the larger temples are kind of sitting very proudly on this flagstone, carefully carved out walkway, some with gates and fences around them, some with gardens around them, some just sitting directly on the path itself, doors opened almost into the road. Let's see here. Trixie, your eyes are immediately drawn first to the Frozen Temple, which sits a little bit further along the path. And it looks like a giant carved piece of ice or giant carved piece of crystal of some sort that is where it stands reflecting the colors and shades of the surrounding wild space. Oh, we got an Amy listening in. Hi, Amy.
I have a phone call. Be right back.
And let's see here. Food stuff for Finn. There is no noticeable place of cooking or of ingredients or anything like that. However, as you walk by and you're kind of just following along with the group and you're just looking around at these temples, you see a pathway that goes in between two of the larger buildings to what looks to be just a very simple stone building of some sort. Only 1 story high, very plain by comparison to the 2 great temples that are in front of it closer to the road. And you see the windows glowing with what you can only assume is a roaring fire inside. And though you can't hear or see anything, I don't know, can you guys still hear me?
Can hear
Yes.
Okay.
Dream is dead.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened. Let me fix that. As you look towards that building, you see carved into it a very simple symbol of a campfire over the front door. And roll me a religion really fast for Finn. Or a history.
What? That's fine. I'll take that.
Well, is your history better?
They're the same.
Okay.
I was gonna ask if I could use my cook's utensils.
No, not for this.
Okay.
As you look, you have a vague memory of seeing some of your family, distant relatives, or some of the people that they worked with having little pendants with that symbol on it. You don't quite remember what they told you it meant, though. But it is a familiar symbol to you. As the group is kind of continuing down the path, excuse me, I need to cough again.
What was the symbol of? It was like a little like
A little campfire.
yes, campfire. There it was. Thank you.
Joe, trying to be the note taker.
I'm doing my best.
You are continuing on the path. Let me see here. Roll me a d12, both Piper and Joe.
And
Piper is currently AFK.
Okay. I will roll a d12 for Piper then, so that I can see what they find. 8. Okay. Oh, this is good for you. So as you are walking, Joe, you're trying to keep an eye, or Booker, you're trying to keep an eye on different things. You can see many of the temples have either a symbol carved into the front edifice of the building itself or on signs hanging outside. Some of them, well, roll me a religion for Booker really fast. See how good he is at this.
gotcha. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty
Oh shit!
good. Definitely.
Let's
pretty good.
go.
A lot of them you recognize either by seeing the symbols that people wear on amulets or on buttons or carved into various items that they carry. Not all of them you recognize as exactly what they are, but you can kind of place, oh, that's a temple to a dragonborn god of some sort, or a dragon god of some sort. That's a temple towards a water domain of some sort. You kind of start to look through them, and with a little bit of connection in your mind, you're able to place a few things. And as you're walking, you see the very back end of this primary walkway between the temples, a tall 3 or 4 story building made out of what looks to be stone, but of a copper color, that in the stained glass at the very topmost level facing the street, you see the 7 stars depicted. And as you kind of zone in on that, something catches your eye, and you turn your head and you see a tabaxi kind of looking around, smiling, and then walking down a path very quickly. And it looks more like an alley once it gets in between 2 larger temples. And As you watch, they seem to just turn into shadow and disappear.
Huh. Booker's gonna hard turn and just walk down that alleyway with purpose.
Anybody else following or questioning Booker as he just about faces?
I'm on top of his shoulder, so I'm kind of. It's kind of mandatory for me to go.
Finn is well distracted by the campfire and probably doesn't even notice them leaving.
Are you trying to head towards the campfire, Finn?
Yes.
Alright. Trixie, Taylor?
S-
You have one
what-
heading towards one building, you have another one about facing down an alley.
Looks to Taylor. Split up.
I was thinking the same thing. I was going to go the opposite direction you went, just to make sure that no one was alone.
Okay, sure. Rock, paper, scissors. On which way?
You know who needs to be watched probably more. I am still new.
I'll go after those two.
That's what I was thinking. I will be right over here. Do you
luck.
have a flare or something that you can shoot?
Flare. I mean,
Signal
you know
for
what?
help
I'm
signal.
pretty tall. I can yell. You know.
Okay. I will keep an ear out.
Yeah, Taylor, right? Just making sure. Got it.
Okay, so
Be safe.
who is following who again?
I'm going after Booker.
Okay.
It's Booker,
going
Lily,
with
and
Finn.
Trixie.
And then Taylor and Finn. Oh boy. Okay.
Split up. Without the healers. Yeah.
Sure. In the two supports together, and everybody else, good luck.
So, as double check this, I need to mute this for a minute. I should have assumed the Temple District was today. But as always, I prepped the wrong things. Okay. So, we're gonna start with Finn and Taylor. As you turn and head down this alleyway and get closer and closer to this stone building, and the kind of warm-looking fire that seems to be glowing in the windows. Finn and Taylor, you both get a very distinct smell, first of kind of wood smoke, and then of tea. Very strong tea of some sort. And when you come to the doorway, you look inside and you can see that it is set up very much in... Do I have this? Yes, I do. Almost like a large banquet hall of sorts. With a massive fire pit in the middle that there is something on a spit being turned by a not quite happy looking goblin, but they're tending to it all the same. And at the tables are scattered of various people. Nobody in this place seems to be standing out as a clergy member or as somebody in charge. You just see various people of various standards and ways of life and various conditions, some looking very worn and tired and exhausted, and some looking like they've just stepped out of a mid-city, high-city shop or store and walked here. What are you doing?
I mean, Finn would just be kind of like walking around, scoping out the place.
They will be following because obviously this is his domain. Anything to do with food, so I'll leave it to the expert. I will assist in any way that I can.
And as you are kind of walking around and looking, you see a kind of grizzled, kind of tired, older orc or half orc of some sort who kind of watches you go down the aisle of one of these tables and come back around on the side that he's on. And he kind of lifts his head and looks at the two of you and gives a little nod when he catches your eye. And as soon as you're close enough to speak, you just kind of see him tilt his head. Don't think I've seen either of you around.
I haven't been on the Rock of Bral in a long time.
I'm his assistant.
Finn kind of like side eyes, like, what? But says nothing.
And yet you both found your way into Journey's End.
Does that name ring a bell?
Roll religion at advantage.
Okay.
Or history, if you want to change it up and see if you do better.
Sure, it's the same one, but...
You gotta switch up the energy.
Right.
Hey, not 20, that...
Okay!
The energy worked! Got this. As he says that, you kind of sit there and think for a long moment, and Journey's End does actually ring a bell. You remember some of the kind of old timers in your trade talking when you were younger about Journey's End and the Hearthkeeper, which is a goddess that is in control of Journey's End and the Journey's End taverns and temples across various wild space spheres. And you remember tales of the Hearthkeeper and of her stories of focusing on trust and hospitality, and in particular, hospitality to guests above all. In fact, some halfling communities actually attribute her as the creator of the Rite of Guests.
Finn will... So wait, who's talking again?
Is a currently unnamed half-orc. It's just kind
Half-orc,
of
right.
looking at you.
Finn will kind of peer around him to look at the goblin that's roasting the pig and be like, that can't possibly be the Hearthkeeper, can it?
And you say that, and there's a couple of laughs and like kind of half stifled chuckles from those that are close enough to hear you. And the orc just kind of slowly smiles. You can see kind of one of his tusks is long and sticking up over his top lip, and the other one seems to be kind of jaggedly broken and doesn't quite catch over his lip fully. And he just shakes his head. No, Hearthkeeper hasn't been here at least as long as I've been here. But we tend to Journey's End all the same, for those that need to be here. He kind of gestures around. This is a place for those that have no other place to go. People that have stories to tell and stories to make. And journeys that end or journeys that are beginning.
I always thought this place was just a old wives' tale.
He slowly shakes his head. Not many Journey's Ends around anymore, but there are a few. And some always pop up where they're needed. Like Bral now. And as he says that, he kind of, you see his eyes dart to the side to another one of the tables where you can see a couple of what look to be various, like 2 or 3 couples and 2 or 3 like small families that have some small children that all seem to be kind of haggard and stressed, and a little worn out, but they all are sitting there with a plate of whatever meat is being cooked on the fire in large cups of tea. And a few of them even have what look to be almost handmade, hand-woven, kind of roughshod, but thick blankets, either kind of tossed over their shoulders or sitting on their laps or tucked underneath the kids.
I'm Finad Humblehearth of the Humble Hearts. Nice to meet you. And he'll reach out his hand.
The orc will slowly reach out his hand and shake it. I think I've heard of the Humble Hearts once or twice.
There's just the slightest eye twitch.
And he just smiles. His name's Lee. At least, probably all you're going to be able to pronounce. Ex-adventurer.
Oh? Ex-adventurer?
And he nods and will kind of lean further away from the table and kind of pat his leg. And you can see that his leg, though it is in one piece as far as you can tell, it's kind of hard to see the full leg where he's sitting on the bench. You can see there's a brace of some sort that is on his leg. Very clearly cluing you in that he is not moving the way that he at least used to. Sometimes you just gotta know when to call it quits. Bral's not the worst place to call it quits on.
Very true.
And he kind of looks between the two of you again and looks around to the table. And the table he's at, there's a couple of other seemingly older individuals at it. And as he looks around, they all kind of shift so that there is space for the two of you to sit, and he motions. Are you wanting to join us, or are you just here to poke around?
I could always go for a meal. He'll turn to look at Taylor.
I am here with. I am the humble assistant to the Humble Hearts, so whatever you decide to do.
That'll be 2 plates.
And he nods and kind of motions for you guys to sit down. And as soon as you do, there's almost magically 2 very large, very warm cups of tea that appear in front of you. And as you each reach for it and kind of take first a scent. It, for both of you, you're immediately overwhelmed by what smells like home. What smells like home to Finn and Taylor?
Finn, it would be like a combination of like campfire smoke and fresh baked bread.
Maybe some really fancy type, maybe amber perfume or something. But I don't know. Like, I have to think about it a little more. I was not prepared.
As you smell it, it just immediately, both of you can feel attention just drain. And you take a sip, and it's tea prepared exactly the way that you want your tea prepared. Exact amount of sugar, the exact amount of cream, the exact type that you crave. And the Lee is just kind of watching the two of you, and as you set your cups back down, he kind of smiles, and there's this like single eyebrow raise. You just get this good, huh?
Delightful. I bet you couldn't give me the recipe.
He shakes his head. Cerola Lee is not going to be able to give you any type of recipe. Just something she does for those she needs to take care of.
Nods and sips tea.
It takes a few minutes, but the goblin saw you guys sit down and eventually comes around with a plate that's put in front of both of you that is just slices of meat and just fresh, steaming, like crusty bread. You're not quite sure where the bread came from, but it's there. It's a very simple, very humble meal. But at the same time, looking at it and having it in front of you, and as you start to eat, it is immediately satisfying on a very basic level to you. And Lee just kind of sipping his own drink very slowly. So neither of you have ever been to the Journey's End before, have you?
No,
Looks at Taylor.
I have not.
Shakes head.
Well, interesting that you guys stumbled in here. Usually everybody ignores it unless they feel a pull to this place.
I did recognize the campfire.
There's a little tilt of the head. So you've seen other followers of the Hearthkeeper then?
Nods. And did you say they were relatives or?
A couple of like distant relatives, like cousins,
Gotcha.
and then
You know,
some-
halfling families.
Yeah, cousins, and then like maybe a person that like dad worked with. So like you've seen a couple in like various like species as well. So you've seen some. They have all worked in kind of the hospitality genre
Mhm.
of jobs.
I've seen a few folks wearing the same insignia.
Actual followers of her. They're just about as rare as these journeys and End's temples are.
Did you say why they're so rare?
think. And as he says that, you just get this like snort, and you kind of look to the other side, and there is a very gray, very grizzled old dwarf that is sitting like on the opposite side of Taylor. And he just kind of like looks up from where he is, like almost double fisting 2 forks meat, and he looks towards y'all and shakes his head. It's because nobody really wants to do this type of thing. Only proper way to work for the lady is to work for others.
Are you kidding? That sounds like a dream. I kind of do that on our ship.
Dinley just tilts his head. Really now? What exactly do you do, if you don't mind me asking?
Cody, as a player, is still unclear what spelljamming is, but Finn will tell them that they are spelljammers, and that Finn serves as the mess hall person.
Spelljamming is just sailing without water. Sailing in space.
Gotcha.
So any type of job you can imagine, from old school sailing vibes, even modern sailing vibes, Spelljammers have a version of it.
Okay. Finn will explain that.
And Lee just nods a little bit. Well, I suppose that would make more than a little sense if you found yourself pulled in one way or another to this place, then. The goddess really does like those that have concern for the basic needs of others.
And... one second. This seems like such an admirable place and calling. Why isn't it more well known?
And the dwarf kind of pipes up on the other side again. Because she only really wants to tend to those that need it most. Even she has her limits. But if enough people follow her, try to help her, I imagine she would try to tend to more.
And if one were so inclined to become a follower, how would they go about that?
Let's see here. We go in interesting directions all of a sudden. Roll me either a perception or an insight.
Defo insight. Sheesh. Oh wait, I'm a halfling. Oh wait, can I do that on ability checks?
I'll let
Yes.
you because it's. I'll let you if you want
I'm
to. 'cause
pretty
that's
sure if it's a straight nat 1, you can halfling reroll
Yeah.
anything,
Yes.
Once.
On any d20. It has to be a d20.
which is tight.
Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Okay.
bad. Good
May
use
she
of the
shine
reroll.
upon us all.
As you ask that, you have kind of been sitting with your back to this fire and the spit. there's been conversation around you in some various spots at different tables, a little bit of laughter here and there as conversation goes back and forth. There's not any music like you would expect in a tavern-like atmosphere like this place, but there has been a general sense of kind of calm and peacefulness and camaraderie. And as you ask how one would go about following this goddess, there's a little shift, and it feels very much like there is somebody standing behind you, but in some ways a strangely familiar sense of somebody behind you, like a family member or a very old friend. And you just hear a voice that you're not quite sure if it's somebody whispering to you or if it's just in your head. A very quiet, "Do you actually want to help everyone?"
He won't spin around, but he will do like a quick cursory glance over his shoulder. I assume no one is there.
No. You just see the still crackling fire, and you notice, even though you've seen the goblin move around and give you guys food, give a couple of other people food, the roast that is on the spit does not seem to have diminished.
He won't say it out loud, but he will think. It's my life's mission to feed the bellies of others.
And there is this strange sensation that's almost giddy. Settles deep in your stomach for a moment. Almost like you want to laugh or just finished laughing. And the voice comes again. "And you promise to help those, and particularly those in need? Those that have nothing else?"
I'll do my best.
And there's just almost a weight on your shoulders, like somebody giving like a half hug from the side. And you feel in your hand something round and flat, almost like a large coin of some sort. So you hear very simple, "Thank you, Finiad. Thank you." As you turn your hand over, you see a very plain wooden circle with the campfire carved into it. And it's dark, almost black wood, polished, almost like it's old and it has been through many people's hands, just kind of worn by fingers over the years. And it is strangely warm in your home.
His eyes would widen as he tries to be subtle about slipping it into a pocket.
And as this is going on, you see the orc and the dwarf kind of going back and forth over what they think a follower of the Hearthkeeper would do, what their tenets might be of guest rights and of honoring those that come to visit you and of helping those in need and feeding and giving a roof over people's heads. And it's very much just a tenet or a philosophy that they are attributing to this Hearthkeeper of generosity and decency above all.
Taylor's just smiling and nodding.
Finn kind of coming back to the conversation, also smiling and nodding, enjoying the food and drink.
And the dwarf, now kind of setting down one of the forks that he was using to eat with, has turned a little bit more properly to like enter into this conversation. And as this conversation goes back and forth of like basic tenets, there's even others that are at the table around you start chiming in of, yeah, I tried to do this, or I tried to do that, I tried to, you know, make sure if I have an extra canteen, I give it to somebody that needs it. And these back and forth until there's just like starting to be stories told from various people at this table of what they have done, either specifically to try and keep the Hearthkeeper's favor, or as a almost pay it forward moment for the kindness they've received from either a follower of the Hearthkeeper or from a Journey's End temple itself. And it very quickly, you come to realize that many of the people, at least at this table, are people that ended up here at very low moments. Moments where they were hurt or injured or alone. And spurred some sort of kindness or refocusing for each of them.
Finn will, he's a fast eater, so he's probably done with the food before him. He will take one of his morsels and, like, I assume, like, he got, like, a baguette, like, in the groceries that he purchased. And is there only this, like, fire in the center of the room, or is there an actual hearth in here?
There seems to be a table beside it that has a few items on it that you see people kind of come and go. If they're like looking with some like fruit on it, and they come and grab some fruit or some like oil for the bread and some salt and pepper. So like if you want to get something else other than this basic bread and meat meal, you can get up and go get it if you would like. You also see, at kind of like you see in this picture, at the very end of the hall is a very simple but kind of stately wooden chair that has a yellow quilted cushion on it that sits only a step above the rest of the floor, but it does sit empty.
Finn will take the bread to the table, put it on the table, but then he'll take the morsel to the chair and put it not on the chair, but like in front of the chair.
Is it one of a specific morsel that you have?
It is. I'm going to leave a water skin of invigorating juices.
So you set the baguette down on the table, and you see a couple of eyes watching you, and just kind of like studying this bread as you leave it. And then you see, very tentatively, a moment or two later, one of the kids from the table that the orc looked towards slowly get up and venture closer to the table, kind of looking around like, am I gonna get in trouble? Can I? And then they reach up and break off an end of the baguette and run back to where they were sitting. And then after another moment, another one of the kids and another one kids, until the entire baguette is gone. But as the last one settles down, where you left that baguette, there seems to be another one appear. And as you place the morsel down on the kind of, just setting it down in front of the chair, I'm assuming?
Yes.
As you place that water skin down in front of the chair, you get a very distinct smell of fresh bread in like apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have that little giddy feeling in the pit of your stomach. That is all that happens at the moment.
Completely distracted by all of this, Finn will turn back to the table and see Taylor and be like, the crew! And kind of panicked, like, go grab her. Thank you so much for the meal. And like reach into his pockets and grab, I don't know. Let me see how much money I actually have. 10 gold pieces, and give it to whomever actually served them.
The goblin at the spigot.
Yes. He'll kind of like shove it into his hands, grab Taylor, and run out the
Ayla
door.
will put her hands together real quick as she's followed and being pulled. She'll clap her hands and like, may the hearth forever keep you warm, and just awkwardly follow around.
Okay. You rush out as you kind of shove the gold into this goblin's hands. He looks, at first, very confused, and then like blinks, and as you're like rushing past him out the door, you just get this like little laugh, and you see him like shaking a hand with the gold in it, like he just like won something. And then you're out the door before you see anything else happen. Congratulations, Cody, you just speed ran thoroughly.
Let's go.
I'm impressed. I wasn't expecting to pull her out until much later.
You're a new goddess. Any percent?
Okay. Sent you her thing. Okay. Shifting the camera to Booker, who about-faced to follow this tabaxi that seemed to disappear down an alley between temples, with Liliana on his shoulder and Trixie high-stepping it to try and catch up after her conversation with Taylor. You shift the maps again. I can find the web page. There we go. You turn and head down this alley. Trixie, are you trying to get, like, catch up, or are you just trying to keep them in sight?
She'll catch up.
Okay. Which one of you three is feeling lucky?
Me. I'm lucky. I'm always lucky.
This is
But
going to
I'm
end badly.
actually the lucky one.
Roll me a d8.
8. Hell yeah.
I mean, I said
Exactly
it was
what I
gonna end
wanted.
badly.
As you walk down this alleyway, trying to, like, are you trying to see the tabaxi, or are you just walking with a purpose?
Can I do both? Booker would want to keep that person in eyesight and
They're
also, like,
gone.
quickly hustle. They're gone? Oh,
They're
okay.
gone.
Then just hustle down to the end of the alleyway to see where they went.
So as you walk down this alleyway, first there doesn't seem to be anything strange. But right about the time Trixie catches up and kind of falls in half step behind you, you feel everything kind of start to shift. You can see the shadows of this alleyway kind of start to swim around you. And all three of you roll me a perception check real fast.
Uh, 20.
Ooh.
I'm rolling really good right now.
Ooh.
I'm not.
Lily, you're a little confused as to why Booker just immediately about-faced and went walking very quickly down this alleyway. Not running, but he's walking pretty fast, like he knows where he's going. And you've known Booker long enough that you're like, sir, I don't think that you have ever been in the Temple District before. Where the fuck are you going? But as this shift begins to happen and all three of you kind of see the shadows start to move around you, Trixie and Booker, the two of you just hear a little giggle. Almost like somebody trying to muffle their laughter just around the corner. And then the world as a whole swims in front of all three of your visions. And with the next step forward, you're suddenly in the middle of a garden. And you look first one way and then the other, and you realize you're in a different part of Bral entirely.
Oh,
You
shit.
see Starhaven much closer, and you can smell the water of the lake. And you are in the High City.
Oh, shit.
Booker, what did you
Reason-
do?
Was there a reason why you were leading us here?
Booker spins around and is just, like, trying to get his bearings, and it takes them, like, a good 5 or 6 seconds of, like, doing, like, a half turn. Here, like, smells a little bit of the water in the lake, sees the skyline has changed, and it just goes, oh shit, first I didn't do nothing. Second, no, I wasn't planning on teleporting anyone, so not sure what that's about. I'm thinking we're in the High City now. Not sure where.
Wait, so we're on the other side of town now?
He nods real slowly. He's like scanning the nearby area. Booker's been to the High City maybe once before, and he tends to shy away from it for a lot of reasons. But the least of which is that it's probably more heavily policed, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. You find yourselves essentially in one of the squares near let's see, let me double check where this it drops you. Yeah. So you end up in the square that is to one side of the Royal Theatrical Company, right here. So you can see the very large, very fancy, very much usually out of your price range Man of War Tavern down the street. And you can see some of the massive estates, because this is where the nobles live. This is where the richest of the merchants live. The oldest families of Bral live. And you don't see any patrols at the moment, but this, kind of like the Temple District in some ways, is a very carefully manicured and kept flagstone roads with lines of trees and gardens and flowers, and it just reeks of having people constantly working to maintain this look. And you can see a couple of people that are kind of just walking down the street, much less crowded than anywhere else in Brawl that you have ever been. And they're in much nicer clothes, much higher quality. You don't see any weapons on any of these people as they're walking around. You kind of see them cutting their eyes and see a couple of them leaning and whispering to one another as they are like, who are these people? Where did they come? Why are they here? And all three of you feel very much out of place.
Oh, shit. Alright, well, if we're here, I'm gonna do my best to act the part. Booker will open up his coat and start taking all of his daggers and unhooking them, kind of collecting them in one hand between his knuckles. And he's gonna pull open his coat pocket and cast Familiar Pocket, which is one of the homebrew spells.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what that shows.
Booker,
Oh,
what
it's
are
on
you
dark.
doing?
Yeah,
What's what?
care to share what's going on here?
Booker, yeah, so you see Booker take out like all of his visible weaponry, which he has quite a bit, and he will like reach over to his coat pocket and he'll tug on it a second and then just like mumble some words under his breath, and then he'll drop all of the daggers into his pocket and they just vanish into the pocket. And he'll look up and be like, okay, I'm just gonna stuff all my goodies in here for a second, and well, we should probably get out of the high city.
Why are we here in the first place?
Fuck if
What
I
were
know.
you- What were you looking for?
I saw someone dash around a corner, and I wanted to figure out what they were poking their noses around for.
Booker, this is a giant city. If you think,
Oh, someone poking their nose around in the Temple District that piques my interest.
I mean, was it someone you knew?
Don't think so. Some tabaxi-looking person, but didn't get much more than that. Unless that was them giggling just a second ago.
I mean, Trixie will kind of look around, see if there are any tabaxi, like, I assume no.
Roll me a perception check.
Okay. Perception.
Hey!
Mhm.
Damn.
look around. At first, you don't see anybody, but then you do see a furry tail disappearing around the backside of the theatrical company. Don't see a body to know if it's a tabaxi or not, but you do see a furry tail disappear.
Well, there seems like your friend might be over there.
What? Just spin around.
You're too
Where'd
late
they go?
to see them.
Did you see him?
I mean, I saw a tail behind the theater company. Don't know if it's exactly the person, but I don't see anyone else with tails around here.
Well, I don't know about you both, but I want to get to the bottom of this. And he's
Just
like,
to make it clear, you're just chasing some random tabaxi that happened to walk down an alley.
a tabaxi that was poking their nose around the temple district, who also teleported us halfway across the city in half a blink of an eye, and I'll snap his fingers.
That's a
Have
good
you ever
point.
considered that this was just like a magic teleporting wall? Have you tried stepping back through it?
I haven't considered that, but I'm going to get that tabaxi and ask them if they know about that magic teleporting wall.
I'm curious
Okay, I'm
enough.
worried about your mental health.
I'm worried about your lack of curiosity, he says as he starts running towards the theatrical company, and then nods to Trixie, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Trixie, while Liliana and Booker were arguing, Trixie was already making long strides. Not rushing or running, but longer, speed walking kind of thing. I got nothing better to do. Why not? It's an adventure.
As two of you go, or the three of you, I should say. I don't know how to refer to this since one of them is riding on a shoulder. As all of you end up moving around the theatrical company, it is a very large, very kind of fancy building, very much in the kind of old opera style buildings, with a large awning over a kind of sitting area for those that need to wait outside, and large glass doors leading into the atrium area at the front of the building, and it towers about 2, maybe 3 stories tall above you. As you move around to the backside where you saw the tail disappear, it does get distinctly less fancy towards the side that is facing the Lake of Bral, with very clearly the side that patrons are not necessarily meant to be on. And you see, sitting out at the back of this theatrical company, a handful of people, seemingly on a break of some sort. A few of them are playing dice, a few of them have food and snacks. One of them looks like they are have just lit up a pipe that they are smoking. And amongst them you do see a single tabaxi who is talking very animatedly with a halfling who is just kind of very calmly munching on a sandwich, seemingly half listening to the tabaxi, half watching the dice game that's happening on his other side.
Is that your friend?
Booker just starts walking towards that tabaxi with a purpose.
As you all approach a little bit closer, the first one person looks up and kind of does double take in confusion. Who's that? Why are you here? And just kind of stares at you, and then one by one, everybody else kind of looks at you confused until there's only the tabaxi left, still talking, but as he realizes that all other eyes in this group are not looking at what they were looking at a second ago, looks over his shoulder at the three of you and just you get this like little tilt of the head, and the halfling that's in front of him is the first to pipe up with a very kind of curt, "And what do all of you want?"
Oh, do you mind explaining yourself here? And he points to the tabaxi and does like an up-down finger gesture.
And the tabaxi just kind of blinks and looks down at himself, and then like looks at one arm and then the other arm and down at himself again, and then looks back at you, Booker. Huh?
I saw you funning around in the Temple District just a few seconds ago.
And there's
And you took us with you? The hell's up with that?
there's immediate confusion at first from the entire group, and then the tabaxi, like, his ears perk up a little bit more, and then there is immediately just a mischievous grin on this tabaxi's face. Oh, you found the shortcut.
Booker just raises his eyebrow. Shortcut.
And as that is said again, a couple of the others in the group kind of laugh. And there's little chuckles and bits and pieces of laughter as the group kind of deflates a little bit. Not quite as concerned about strangers. A few people going back to what they were doing. Other people still kind of watching. One or two confused still, but not as tense. And the tabaxi just nods. Yeah, the shortcut.
Booker just blinks.
Mind explaining a bit more?
I told you it was the transporting wall.
Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot to explain.
Show us.
Well, it's kind of hard to show you, but and he kind of like scratches the back of his head for a second. Well, I guess you guys were in the Temple District, right? Do you want to go back there?
Would be nice.
Yeah, we got some business to take care of over on that side of town.
And he nods and looks back to the halfling and is like, holds up a finger. I am going to be back like 10 minutes. No, maybe like 15 minutes. I might get a sandwich. I'll be back. And very quickly turns and will grab both of your hands, one from Trixie, one from Booker, in either one of his, not really caring that his arms kind of have to cross, like they're not the right hands for him to just continue walking past you and drag you along, and you guys comfortably walk, but he does his damnedest to try. And very distinctly walks in a different direction from where all of you came. Down, away from the theater, past the outer wall of the high city, which stands about 50 feet in height, with gates that are all open usually, but gates that are designed to be able to close off the high city from the mid-city if they wanted to. And towards the grove at the center of the Rock of Bral, one of the primary places that they just let grow and be wild to try and keep the oxygen fresh. Between this and the underside of Bral, you all know that those are the primary areas where there's plants to keep the air pocket clean. And he just kind of walks into the grove about 20 feet, stops in front of a very large, like, oak tree, turns and puts one finger up in front of Booker's face and one finger up in front of Trixie's face, and just looks between the two of you. Now, you have to do exactly what I do.
Booker just raises an eyebrow.
Just know if this is some kind of trick, we will find you.
Well, I mean, it is a trick. I mean,
Just
guys-
show us what to do.
And as you kind of snap at him, he kind of stops stumbling over himself, blinks, and nods, and turns back to the tree, and like, okay, you gotta go around it 3 times, starting from right here. And he like very distinctly puts his one foot in front of the tree and walks around the tree 1, 2, and as he's coming around the 3rd time, much like you saw in the Temple District, he kind of fades into shadow and then is gone as he is standing in front of you again.
Booker just looks at Liliana and just goes, "How'd you know that it was a magic wall?"
Why would somebody randomly teleport us? Seemed kind of silly. So I just went with
So
the
your
actual
first
normal.
guess is a magic wall?
We teleported.
Yes, people can teleport. That's a spell.
Obviously,
Right.
teleport too.
Whatever. Booker's gonna
I
walk
think
around the
you
tree.
have a persecution complex. I'm really starting to worry about you now.
I think you got lucky. Walks around the tree 3 times.
And much like last time, you feel the world start to kind of shift and the shadows to move in strange ways around you, and then everything kind of blurs together, and suddenly you are standing beside the fountain in front of the frozen temple in the Temple District. And about 10 feet away is the Tabaxi, just kind of like tapping his fingers together nervously, staring at the spot that you spit out. And just kind of like open hands as all 3 of you make it, gesturing to all 3 of you. See, I mean, it's a trick, but you still got here.
Know any other shortcuts? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be handy to know that.
There is a few. I don't know that he would want me to tell you, though. Generally,
He?
yeah.
He who?
The god that made the shortcuts.
Which god?
Dala?
Adala?
Dala. D-A-L-L-A-H.
Does that ring any bells?
Roll me a religion.
Oh, great.
May I try?
Mm-hmm. Any of the 3 of you that want to try.
Religion.
Not Trixie's neck of the religious woods.
It's
Dala,
Booker's.
for Booker, is a god / goddess that you have heard of once or twice. They're not particularly well liked by any except for spies, thieves, and tricksters.
Booker
Well-
hears the name and thinks about it for a second, just goes, oh, that tracks.
The tabaxi just like nervously tapping fingers together again in front of him. Yeah, I mean, no offense, I don't think any of you quite look like people that Dala tends to, favor. Especially if you didn't already know about the shortcuts.
Fair.
Well, now that we know about them, do you think we look like people who might be favored by Dala?
No.
Do you think if we knew about more shortcuts, we would be favored by Dala?
You want to follow more random tabaxis?
Well, to be fair, it's not usually smart to just follow people into the shortcuts if you don't know where the shortcut goes, because there are a few of them that end up in not so fun places.
Is there one that happens to go like towards the docks? Maybe
Go towards it. What?
the docks.
Yeah, but the other end of it is like really far away. It's probably just easier for you to walk there.
So they only go one way, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes I think Dala likes to just, I don't know, shake things up and they just end up going the wrong places for a bit. Usually they fix it. One time that one beside the temple spat me out in the pond behind Starhaven, and I thought I was gonna die. But I didn't.
Good to know. But look, I've been here a couple times, and I feel entitled to know about these shortcuts. So either you're going to tell me, or I'm going to go pick someone's ear and figure out what they know and get all the secrets from them. But that's going to take a lot of extra work, so I'd prefer it if it's just you. And Booker will reach into his familiar pocket and start pulling out daggers and hitching them back onto his belt and bandolier.
As you say that, this tabaxi starts to look a little bit more nervous.
Hey.
Roll me an intimidation.
Nah! I'm not good at intimidation, man.
There's no need for that, Booker. Come on. Just there's other ways to go about doing this. Pulls out a handful of gold.
Why are we bribing and/or intimidating this tabaxi?
For information, keep up.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what he says.
I don't know. Roll me a persuasion, Trixie.
I just want to point out, Trixie is actually not all that super interested in the information, unless it was to get to the dock. But she's just kind of going along with it.
Nope.
I would like to try. Just.
What
look,
is she saying?
Well, can you just tell him what he wants to know so I can go do what I want to do? He's being a little bit of a no fuck this. If you would not mind.
Roll me a persuasion.
This is more of give him what he wants to know so I can go do my thing. Please.
Just a heads up, our electric might go out because it is storming really bad outside right now.
Oh.
It is raining through the window.
And it's so fucking hot still?
Jealous. I want the rain down here. I'm fucking sweltering in my
I
AC.
am too!
There's a nice breeze outside if you open your window.
Could you open my window for me? I don't know how to open
Sorry,
it.
y'all. Heatwave probs.
Wait, isn't it raining? Why would you open your window if it's going to rain through the window?
Because
You
it's
don't
so
understand
hot. Yeah.
what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
in a part of the country where AC is not like it is in the South, where it's turbo powered.
It has
We
been
don't
like
even have
88
AC.
degrees for the last 3
It is
days.
85 degrees right now.
Ugh.
At
Cringe.
6 p.m.
Meanwhile, Joe, Mandy, and I are like, we're in a part of the country where it's like illegal to build someplace without AC.
We don't even have
Yeah.
AC. We have one fan, and Iris has it.
My
Like-
my little
want a
window
fan.
unit isn't even doing enough.
Yeah, literally up here, they are just now starting to put ACs into new units
Thanks,
or into
global
new
warming.
apartments. Yeah. Sorry. Side ditch.
One a game. There's always at least one a game. So you're trying to just like throw your hands up, like, just tell him so that I can move on. And the tabaxi is like, what? I'm not gonna draw you a map or anything, but where are you wanting to go? Is there one you want to find?
Well, shit.
Well, what about the tavern?
Wait. Is there one that gets to the other side?
Their side, like
The other side of the rock?
the lower half?
Yeah.
Why would you want to go there?
Well, that's none of your business. You said you knew what it is or not. You don't want me to know why. Just tell me where it is.
And he looks a little bit more antsy now. And you all know enough about the Rock of Bral to know that, like, the lower half of the rock, the other side, is strictly off limits. Unless you are sent there because you are a prisoner, or assigned there because you are military.
That's why Booker wants to know where the portal is.
And the tabaxi just like looks a little more nervous and a little bit more panicked as he looks between the three of you. There's one in the Man of War, in the brewery closet where all the kegs are. Slide under the third one and you just kind of pop out a little bit outside the prison. There's not a whole lot of ways to get back to this side from there, though.
Wait,
So there's a portal to there, but not from there. Okay. Question?
Yeah. So, Trixie hasn't been to the Brawl. Would she know about the Undercity?
Yes.
Like what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
'Cause the Rock of Bral is for people that are spelljammers or planning to become spelljammers, it is enough of a hub, especially for spelljammers in and from a realm space, that it's kind of like knowing about New York. You know about the cities of New York, you kind of know about some of the vibes of New York. Because
Okay,
it's just
okay.
that big.
Trixie side eyes Booker a bit confused as to why he'd want to go down there as well. But doesn't really speak up, but just gives him a look.
Okay. In the Man of War, in the brewery closet, under the third keg, and he puts you out somewhere near the prison. Good to know. And you said there's nowhere back on the other side that leads to here?
I mean, there's one. It's really hard to get to, though. You kind of gotta go swimming in the lake.
In the lake?
Yeah. I think Della thought it was funny.
Yeah, real funny. Booker, rubs his brow line for a second and just goes, Alright. I've gotten my fair share of information. Do you two care?
I'm good.
You can go now. Just like dismissively waves.
As soon as you dismissively wave, the Tabaxi turns tail and trots off very quickly, turning down away from the alley that he originally disappeared in. So, very clearly making his way somewhere else.
Booker grins to himself, very pleased. And without looking at her, he will say, Liliana, what kind of tree were you looking for again?
I believe it was an oak tree.
I think I know where you can find an oak tree.
And where can I find an oak tree?
And Booker will walk through the portal after the tabaxi.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
And just like retracing his steps to follow back, walk from wherever they pop out in the high city up towards the grove to wherever it was that the dude showed them the portal to get back to the temple district.
So we're just going back to the temple district, is what you're saying?
No. So
No.
the tree that leads to the temple district was an oak tree.
Oh.
So Booker will take you back there, and then he'll point at the tree that he had to walk around 3 times in a circle, and be like, there she blows.
Weren't we supposed to talk to a druid? I mean, I will attempt it, but as Liliana, like, she says this as she's, like, in the middle of, like, climbing down his back and, like, hopping down. Like, I'll attempt it, I don't know what exactly I'm going to do here. Puts
I'm
her
not
hand
sure
in the
either.
tree.
Well, good luck. I think you got it.
Liliana just approaches the oak tree and just kind of rests her fingies on it. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
The thingies in quotation marks.
There it is.
I didn't hear you.
Okay. So you walk up to the. Do you have any sort of speak with plants ability or anything?
And
I think you would.
I am a plant.
You are a plant, but there's a little bit of a difference between plant folk and plant. Like there's a difference between tabaxi and cat.
Mhm.
Where's my character repository? Doing contract. I don't think my Eldritch Grove. Yeah, I don't have to speak with plants, ironically.
Okay.
But if, for example, we happened to maintain contact with one small robot button, I believe that particularly small robot has an enchanted Venus flytrap that Booker bought, which allows you to cast Speak with Plants or Speak with Animals for 4 minutes.
There we
Here.
go. Perfect.
Here. I'll call Amy real quick. Be right back.
No, we just pull Button out of like his knapsack, like the play check for the backpack.
I knew it was a good investment. It's all coming back. I'm putting this in the notes in bold. Politely asks Button to borrow the magic Venus flytrap.
The phone is ringing currently.
You're actually
fucking
calling her?
her. She's on vacation, bitch. Leave her alone.
No, this is great.
She's gonna cuss you out.
No, she's
She'd be
not.
like,
She's
what
just gonna
happened?
go, what the fuck? It got the messages.
Aw.
She did not answer. I
We just
Whatever
pulled her out of
happens is not
the
my fault.
It's
put her
fine.
in the
We're
bag of holding.
pull the chibi button out of the bag. Then have
we
the
will
button produce the Venus flytrap.
we will borrow the magic Venus flytrap from Button, politely borrow it, and let Liliana speak with plants.
So you use this Venus flytrap, and as we look at the spell for a second. Okay, so as you cast this Speak with Plants, the trees around you, all of you can kind of hear and feel them start to shift, even though there is no wind. And all of your Bucker and Trixie, as you're kind of standing a little bit behind Lily, you feel a couple of leaves and pine needles from these various trees kind of drop and fall on your heads. Not hard, doesn't hurt, just a very distinct feeling of being in a space that is suddenly awake where it wasn't before. And as you reach out and touch this oak tree, Lily, you get this very distinct impression of a almost like an old man slowly kind of waking and turning in your direction. And just a little bit of confusion.
Hello. I am looking for the leaf lord. You wouldn't happen to be associated with one such god of nature, would you?
There's this kind of groaning, creaking from this oak that all three of you can hear. But the creaking for Lily starts to come through as a low, kind of rumbling voice in the back of your mind. Leaf Lord. I know one that might be called that.
I'm
Why
sorry,
do
cut out.
you...
Did you say you used to be called that, or
I know one that might be called that.
okay?
What do you want to know about him?
Well, I was told to speak with him, so how to do that would be wonderful.
Where he speaks through is deep in the rock itself. You have to find someone that can take you there.
Ah, so we do need to find the druid still. Can you tell if he's still in the temple district?
There's kind of this wrestling that goes back and forth, the trees around you. And then again, the oak kind of creaks. And Booker and Trixie, you both are a little surprised to see one of the larger branches that's almost directly above your head kind of straightens and shifts almost like the tree itself is stretching. Oh, there's one in the temple district still, I think. One that smells of dirt and nature.
Okay. I am sorry for bothering you. You may go back to sleep now.
And there's another kind of shifting and murmuring from the trees around. And then you just get this like little hum from deep in the tree. And it's a low enough vibration that all of you can kind of feel it through your feet. And you just get this, oh, it is nice to talk sometimes.
I will try to talk with you in the future again.
Mm. You get kind of a sensation of a little bit of something akin to like pleased from the oak and the trees immediately around. But then it all starts to settle once more.
Liliana, Celeste hops back up to Booker's shoulder. Okay, we have to go find the druid after all.
Really? Oh, bummer. Oh well. Booker will walk around the tree 3 times.
She pats and said, "Thank you for being considerate, though."
Well, that's interesting.
We're not hearing the conversation, but seeing someone talk like, pantomime with their arms or branches, I guess.
The tree was a very nice old man.
Oh,
Mm.
and then once we warp back into the temple district, we're going to need to find an old man who looks like dirt.
Smells like that.
Right. Probably looks a little bit dirty, if they smell like dirt. Maybe looks a little shrubby.
Maybe
We'll
it's just
figure it
the
out.
perfume. We're not going to meet the hobo.
Oh, going to meet a druid.
Are you saying that druids are hobos? I'm going to tell him you said that.
No, I didn't say nothing. You're the one saying that druids are hobos.
I did not say that, actually.
Neither did I.
Okay, then march forward. Unsag dies. Bonk.
Right. So, I'll pop up back up in front of the frozen temple once more. And before, when you popped out of nowhere in fairly quick succession, first a tabaxi, then a tiefling and a plant, then a 3-creen, and all stood around. And about half hour later, 45 minutes later, pop out again. There's a couple of people that are just kind of sitting in front of the frozen temple, kind of wrapped in longer coats and jackets on benches made out of kind of crystalline looking ice. And as you pop out again, you just hear one of them laugh, point at all of you, and then open a hand towards the person they're sitting beside, and it's very clear that there was a bet placed on you.
Looks like we've made someone's day.
Feel like I'm entitled to a cut. I'm not going to fight about it. Booker shrugs. All right. Which of these temples looks the most druid-like?
I don't think it's going to be in a druid. I think it's just going to. I don't think it's going to be in a druid. I do not think it's going to be in a temple. I think we're just going to find a lone druid, probably in like a wooded area.
There's not a heck of a lot of thick woodland area around the temple district here, but there's a couple of tree spots. A couple of patches.
Probably what we're looking for.
So you kind of look around, trying to find a place that has the most kind of amount of plant life and growth. You see a little bit further off in the distance, towards the edge of the asteroid, there is a pond that has standing above it a wooden temple on stilts. And the ponds are covered in various water plants and lilies, and around it is a thicket of trees and bamboos. You can see that the primary people that you see in and around this temple are tritons and turtles. And as you approach, Finn and Taylor, two of you give me perception checks.
I'm wonderful at that.
Me too.
And by wonderful, I mean not good at all.
Me too.
Well, every once in a while you roll something decent. Myself.
Okay, Taylor. Need to redo my roll 20 real fast because it's fucking up on me. As you, two of you make your way out of Journey's End Temple and back onto this main walkway between the temples, you start trying to scan around and look for your friends. In Taylor, you just manage to catch the kind of telltale white hair and fluffy antenna disappearing around a building further down the street. You can try to run to catch up to them, or the two of you can go somewhere else if you would like.
Finn, would you like to catch up with the others, or do you have other business to attend to?
Well, I do need to go to the guild, but we better catch up with them first.
All right, right this way. I saw the really tall, mothy one this way.
She is pretty easy to spot in a crowd.
Mm.
And you round the corner and see the three of them approaching this kind of walkway area that leads towards this temple on the stilts above the ponds. And Booker and Liliana and Trixie, as you all are kind of taking in the sights of this very carefully manicured temple in front of you, and trying to be a little bit more quiet and respectful as you get a little bit closer and realize that pretty much all of the what you assume to be worshippers are kind of meditating in various places. And you see off to one side, around the pond a little ways, one that sticks out like a sore thumb. And I believe I have this somewhere. This one. You see a old dwarf that is completely white in the beard, carrying what looks to be almost a sapling as a staff. Just sitting on a bench, looking out over this water. And there's a few people around him. They all seem to be kind of whispering and murmuring to each other and to him, but he doesn't seem to be paying them much mind at the moment.
Oh. And that's probably him right there.
All right. And Booker will turn and then start to walk Lily over in that direction. Suitably druidy.
Hello there, good sir.
As you call out to him, a couple of the people around him kind of look in your direction, curious, looking all of you up and down and seeing first the tiefling with the plant woman on his shoulder, then a moth, and then a hustling halfling, and I forget what you are, Taylor.
Green.
I said to the green.
Green and cotton candy.
Yeah.
And it kind of sparks another kind of series of murmurs amongst them. And this dwarf looks in your direction, and you can see his brows kind of furrow, and his brows are so big and bushy and wiry that it almost looks like giant caterpillars on his face, just moving as he furrows his brow and sinks a little bit further into his beard. And who would you be?
Perhaps this might explain some stuff. And then she pulls out her holy symbol of the leaf lord.
Okay, the many-limbed tree.
Yeah.
And as you pull that out and kind of flash it in his direction, there's a little squint, and you see him actually reach into a pocket and pull out some glasses and just kind of like hold it in front of his face so he can squint through them. And then there's a look of realization. Oh. Another follower, I see.
That's me.
And he kind of shifts on the bench a little bit and just like pats the bench beside him.
She hops off of Booker, leaping onto the bench.
And he just kind of like looks you over and then slowly kind of offers a palm in front of you. I see that.
Of course.
He takes the symbol and kind of twists it one way and then the other, examining it very closely. And what exactly are you doing here, little one?
Well, I was actually told to come speak to him, and you and him to help me.
And there's a little nod as he slowly hands the symbol back over to you. And you see his gaze shift from you to the rest of your compatriots. And I assume your friends mean to come with you?
I think they were just here to take me here. I don't think they're going anywhere with me. Just tilts her head.
I'm just here to support a friend. If you need me, you need me. Like, I don't mind. If not, I don't mind waiting either.
I don't even know where we're going. I know we're going into the depths of the rock, but that's about it.
The dwarf kind of nods. Oh, the great oak has found a spot deep below where nobody's going to bother him, where he can be connected to the roots.
Now, is it terribly dangerous? I'd rather let my friends go and do the stuff that they want to do without having to march down there with me.
Not particularly, no. Just a little bit of a walk.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys don't have to worry about me if you don't want to. I can go to Larry's Tavern. Or meet you somewhere. I don't want to force you to come along with me. You can if you want to, though. Like, I'm not telling you what to do.
Booker shrugs and looks to the rest of the group, and then does anyone have anything else they want to do?
I think you have to go to Celestian or something.
I did want to pop by that church and just poke around, see what I could learn. I do want to watch you pick a fight with something.
We got plenty of time for that. But I don't mind keeping you company if you want to go to this other temple.
Well, yeah, then come along.
Okay. So, above table, who is going with Druid Man and Lily, if anybody is going with? Going once, going twice. Okay.
Solo Lily adventure?
Solo Lily adventure.
Okay.
Alright. So, as it seems to be settled that you're going alone, the dwarf kind of hops up off of the bench, and as he stands up, he kind of does the old man stretch, trying to pop his back a little bit. You just get this like low groan, and then you hear the crack. And there's a moment where you're not quite sure if it's a good crack or a bad crack, and you're pretty sure he doesn't know either. And then slowly, gingerly sinks back down to a little bit of a hunch. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. And he looks towards Lily. Can you walk by yourself, or do you need help?
I can walk by myself just fine. I just get a little slow. That's all.
No, lucky for you, I'm slow too. And he turns and starts away from the temple and away from the temple district as well, more towards the direction of the graveyard and the edge of the rock beside it. And as the rest of you kind of watch him walk through the trees and bamboo around the edge of Singlai, the Singlai temple at least, it almost looks like the pair of them kind of get swallowed by the plants as they move. To the point you don't see the plants moving as long as you feel like they should. And the dwarf kind of takes a moment, kind of carefully guiding you through very tight thickets of these trees. And once you break through into a little bit of an easier path, he looks down to you, this slight tilt of the head. Ooh, forgive me, I hope, but I'm not quite sure I've seen your like before.
Well, I do not blame you. I was actually a plant myself. I do not really have a race to designate myself as. Specifically, I was a Reflecia plant before the Master used Awaken on me, and the Leaf Lord granted me sentience.
And there's a little kind of noise of surprise. Not necessarily as surprised as you might expect somebody to be, but still a recognition of that's different. And a little nod. Oh, Old Oak is one to usually find the interesting ones. A handful that have come through the rock in my time. All of them not quite what you expect. How exactly were you told to come find him?
That tiefling had a dream and told him to contact me.
You see him kind of look over his shoulder back from the direction you came. And he is not a chosen of the Leaf Lord.
No, just somebody with paranoia and a persecution complex.
There's this, like, confusion. And then a very slow decision of, I'm not gonna ask. But a careful nod. Well, if there's others telling you to come talk, that must mean there's something even more interesting going on. And as he says that, you come to what initially, from one angle, just looks like an archway of trees. Like two trees that have been bent and melded together to form an arch. But as you kind of circle around it, you can see that what was just thick bushes and grass, what you thought was just thick bushes and grass from one angle, actually is covering a spiraling staircase down into the rock itself. And as you get a little closer, the sapling-shaped staff that this man is carrying, he kind of thunks it against the ground twice, and it lights up almost like fireflies are in it as he starts down the staircase leading into just a very tight, very dark, solid stone hallway that twists and turns away from these stairs deeper into the rock, and you're not quite sure of the direction that you are going, but you get enough of a sense that it is heading back towards the middle of the rock itself rather than the outside edge. And there is a good, probably half hour of walking in darkness that is only lit by these fireflies on his staff. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about or ask of this man before you get where you're going?
Well, what do you know of the Leaf Lord? It seems that you are a father as well. Have you talked to him before?
The dwarf kind of nods his head one way and then the other. Like he's kind of considering how to phrase what he's going to say. Not talked directly, but talked in his own way. A great oak has guided me in many ways. Come from a planet where much of the plants are gone.
Oh.
He was trying to do what he could to slow the death. I became his hands on the world. Though I fear now if I returned, there'd be nothing left. Even the great oak has his limits for all of his reach.
It does seem like nature is starting to slowly dwindle away. Mashed instead.
You get this like hum of agreement, and then this slight tilt of his head. There is not just a genocide. There seems to be something off in nature. An imbalance of some sort.
Oh. Well, I'm willing to learn whatever it is you have to teach me.
And he kind of looks towards Lily with an kind of an arch to his brow. He pauses as he's walking. And if I am willing to learn, you are willing to listen. What do you plan to do with what I teach?
My goal has been the same as it's always been, to spread nature.
There's a very clear consideration where he is. Before was just kind of like, this is a strange girl that just has a flower on her head and is carrying my god's symbol. But now he seems to actually be trying to size you up a little bit. And there's a single nod. Let us see what the Great Oak has to say. And depending on what he says, I will teach you what I can. Though I can't promise there's much from an old man like me.
Oh, you are far underestimating yourself. I am sure you can do some amazing things.
You get a little chuckle as he turns and starts walking along again. That very distinct, like, step clunk of a staff. Tell me then, if you at least began as a plant, are a plant in one way or another, do you still feel the connection?
The connection with nature? I do my best to feel it, yes. I mean, I consider myself more plant than I do human most of the time. Can you believe these barbarians actually eat plants?
And he kind of chuckles and shrugs. We all have our needs. It is equally barbaric to them that some plants will eat them.
I suppose you're right.
As long as everything works in the cycle it is intended to, there is no true barbarism, as you might say. And as you kind of turn around a sharp corner in this path, suddenly you see a light far down the tunnel that is just steady and growing the further down the tunnel you get. Until, let me see here. You come into a large cavern that has a single crack high in the ceiling that seems to lead up into the city somewhere. And a trickle of water coming from a break in one wall, pooling into a small, spilling into a small pool in front of a massive ancient oak tree that has grown in this crack of light. Plants and flowers all around the single light and water source. You see two others, a half-orc and a human, sitting and seemingly in meditation to either side under the branches of the oak tree. And as you get a little bit closer, you can see in the side of the tree. Let's see. Do I have that pulled up? I do not. Give me 1 minute. To Pinterest I go to get what I need. In your Spelljammer channel, you see a carved face in the side of the tree with hair and beard of moss and eyes that seem to just be dark holes in the tree itself. It is very clearly a carving, as far as you can see. But there's something about it that feels familiar as you look. And the dwarf just walks with you along the trickle of water towards the pool and stops just at the edge of where the limbs of this tree reach out to. And he looks to you and then looks towards the tree and gives a little nod. It's not the great old one himself, but a tree of his making. If there's any place he wanted you to go on the rock, this would be it.
She slowly nods.
He kind of moves over towards what looks like a bush, but as he moves, you can see the plants seeming to shift around him until almost a little armchair has formed of various vines and bushes and flowers, and he just kind of sinks into it with a groan. Well, if you need to have words with him, have words with him.
Okay. Hello.
As you
She kind of awkwardly waves.
call out and wave to this tree, there is just the faintest shift in the leaves high above you, and all three men in this cavern just kind of flinch as your voice kind of bounces around and echoes off the walls. And then the dwarf kind of chuckles and shakes his head. I think you might just get a little bit more from sitting and connecting than calling out.
Oh, you told me to have words with him.
There are many ways to have words with anybody, particularly
And-
God.
If you told me to connect with him, I would have gone and done that. She gives a slight smile, like she's not actually mad. She goes over to the tree and then digs her arms into the ground like roots.
Okay. So, let's do this. as you dig your arms into the ground, you can immediately feel the fresh, like, fertile soil that is in this cave. It is more invigorating than just about any soil that you have come in contact with. There's an energy to it that you just can't quite place. As you kind of close your eyes and concentrate and try to ease yourself into the connection, how do you think Lily goes about trying to connect with this tree or the Leaf Lord?
Well, she kind of just like dug her plants and is trying to feel it out.
Okay, so you reach out and first feel the plant life around you. Then you feel almost a thrumming. Something living and breathing in the soil itself. And you try to reach for it and realize that it's almost all around. Not a single thing to reach out and grab, but in every single plant around you. And even in your own growth of your vines. And you hear and feel, as you close your eyes, the sway and shift of branches and leaves in the wind back and forth. And there's an immediate sense of home, sense of connectedness, which you've not felt in a very, very long time. Not since you were awakened. It's like being with all of the other plants, being tended to and cared for and thriving with roots intertwined. And as you sink into that feeling, remembering it after having been away from it for so long, you feel that thrumming, living force around you kind of coalesce. And even though your eyes are closed, you can imagine the face in the tree. And imagine it coming to life and moving in your mind's eye. It is...
What is in your mouth? Get over here. Come here.
Okay.
What? Come here. Come here. What do you have? What do you have? Huh?
For Chaos
Where'd it go?
and Val.
What is this? What is it? No, go away. No, that's mine now. You leave. No, go. Okay, I am really sorry.
What is in your mouth? Nothing, I'm talking.
No, like I was just listening to you, and then Val's got like something long and white in his mouth. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, what was it?
I think it was like some leftover chicken. I think.
Aw,
You
cute fungi.
I hope.
I'm sitting here getting all invested, and then I hear yelling first on my end, and then in the mic. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm sorry about that. There's this kitty emergency.
But
Please continue.
as you see that face in your mind's eye, it seems to come alive and move, and it feels more like an old friend than anything else. Do you try to say or do anything, or do you wait?
I will wait patiently.
And as you wait, the eyes in your mind's eye light with a glow, not unlike fireflies sitting deep inside the tree. And the mouth slowly turns up into a small smile. It's been a long time, little one. The voice seems to rumble through the earth underneath you more than you actually hear it in your own ears.
Oh, not so long as it is in nature, no.
And there's a rumble that you don't know if it's a laugh or a hum. That is very true. But even nature can feel the passage of time when it starts to come to the end.
The end? Will you explain what?
There are things that are coming into contact with what I can control, with what you know. Things that mean to take the very essence of everything that grows.
What do you want me to do about it? I am one plant.
And there's a long pause. It doesn't feel quite like he's thinking or he's confused, but more the pause that comes with something that is not used to keeping up with a conversation in the short term. Something that is used to words that are spread over a much, much longer period. And slowly the voice starts again. I know you are but one, but you are still one that I have chosen. One that, if you are willing, can start to turn the tide.
I am always happy to turn the tide against something that would try to murder nature. You just got to point me in the right direction.
Tell me, what do you think is nature?
Nature is, if I had to assume, it would be the natural world, untouched by humanity. Everything that mankind does not force into our way is nature.
And there's another kind of extended pause. It almost looks like the eyes lit by the fireflies in your mind's eye turn away from you at first. Almost like they're looking at something else before they turn back to you. Nature is indeed what comes before man, before civilization, but it is not only what is untouched. There is a meeting ground that can be achieved, a harmony.
Well, with respect, I do not believe that they are interested in this harmony. I believe they are more interested in taking rather than giving. With the exception of a few, like you, the other follower, the nice dwarfen man.
Well, there are many that are not interested, but there are many that are, or that can be shown the way. It is only necessary to show them the path, prove that it is there. But it is a path that requires one thing above all. Do you know what gives you life? Me life. The lives of the plants around you, of the people in this cavern.
No, not really. I doubt it's soil and water.
And again, you get that kind of low rumble that seems somewhere between a hum and a laugh from deep in the soil underneath you. Oh, soil and water are simply conduits. At the core of everyone is energy. Positive energy that you breathe in and out. That fuels you. It fuels the growth of the plants. Fuels the drive of a living being.
Oh, the mitochondria.
Ma'am.
I'm sorry. You said it's the energy, and I'm just like, the mitochondria is the powerhouse.
Ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I do get it. I do understand what he's saying.
That very energy that fuels you. Fuels everything. Can be taken away. Can be replaced even. Something tries to take. Something throws into imbalance. Everything is affected as all energy relies on each other.
Okay. Um. And the
How fix? How do fix?
And so you ask how to fix it. You feel the weight of the gaze on you a little heavier. Consideration. Fix one step at a time. There is a death happening. One you cannot stop, but one that is causing those that love this light and love this life, causing them to try to replace the energy. There will never be enough energy to fix what they are losing. But you must show them that is the case. Before it takes so much that there is nothing left to take.
Okay.
And as he says that, you roll me just a straight wisdom check.
Okay. Uh,
Okay. So as he says that, the face in your mind's eye fades. And at first all you see is an orange light. And then you start to see more and more clearly crystal plant. But it's not the vines that you saw growing above ground, it is the roots far beneath the earth. And you can see them wrapping around roots of other plants. And from that point of contact, the very vitality of the plants above begin to shrivel and fade, being drained into the orange vines themselves. And as you watch these roots deep below ground, every plant that shrivels and dies away, more of these orange roots spread out, searching for another root to wrap around, and another and another.
hello? Did you get out?
No, I'm still here. Did you hear?
Okay.
What was the last thing you heard?
Roots wrapping around, choking out.
Mm-hmm. So that's the vision you're getting, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, so I got to go kill the bad plants. I can do that. I have somebody that really loves killing things. Actually, I know a couple of people that really like killing things. There's actually a lot of people that love murder on my ship. It's actually kind of concerning. I mean, I will do what I can, of course. You can count on me to do that much.
There's another kind of extended pause. If you don't, it will continue to spread like plague. Even you will not be able to escape it. And soon even I will fall to it.
Oh, that's not good.
Go and find the... How do I want to phrase this? Hold on.
Exact words, please. Get a destination and an objective, please. If you could draw a map,
No metaphors or flowery language allowed.
yeah, just
We don't do
please,
storytelling. We do objective markers.
please.
You
If
wish.
you maybe like fill out my journal here.
You wish. There are others in the realms seeking to end this, seeking to survive. Gather them. Gather those of you that come to the call, and those of us that see the end coming may be able to stop this.
Who else can sense it? Maybe I'll stop there. Might have more information.
The oldest and wisest of followers can feel something amiss. And many of us that are separate from you know of this threat. I do believe your friend knows one. He is the one who brought you to me.
So my friend is one of these God-chosen demons?
I do not know if he is chosen or not. I cannot speak for the Star Walker. But he is known to him.
Okay, so if he tries really hard, he can't be. I'll be sure to tell him that. Maybe he won't go chasing random tabaxi if I tell him that. Is there anybody else among my crew that you think people have an eye on?
There's a extended silence. And you're almost concerned after a moment that the old oak has stopped talking to you. But then there's just this kind of rumble and stretch of the roots in the ground. I do not know. There are some who may be touched by the void. Some who may be touched by the light of the sea or the fire of the hearth. But I do not know what fate they hold. Simply that they are separate in some way.
Okay. I just got to make them more religious. I can do that, probably. Maybe that will help. So go beat the bad plants. Get people that can help me beat the bad plants. Restore energy. And that is it.
Is that an above table question or an in character question?
Both.
Above table, general gist, yes.
Okay.
In character, you see the oak face kind of crinkle and crease, new cracks forming where there weren't before as it emotes in a way that seems to be a little bit of concern.
What?
Be careful, little one.
What did I do?
Nothing.
Oh,
You are just very young.
that is certainly true.
To me, you are. One day, you will see what it is to be old. What it is to see your energy in another.
Assuming I live that long.
And there's a kind of unreadable expression on his face. But he says nothing. You can see the fireflies in the eyes start to flicker out.
Okay, sleep well.
You get this very... How lucky are you feeling tonight, Piper?
What do you want me to roll?
D100.
100.
Nope.
I mean, it's pretty lucky.
The lights start to flicker out, and you get as you're kind of staring, eyes closed, staring at this image in your mind. There's something in the darkness of the eyes as the fireflies disappear that is not what you expect, and you strain and try to look closer, look deeper into that darkness, and for a moment you're almost certain that the remnants of light in the eye form the image of a black hole.
Oh, I hope it didn't kill him. That'd be a little awkward.
And
Hmm.
as you kind of come back into yourself, you can again hear the water running around you and the very faint echoes bouncing around the cavern and the life that is still going on in this cavern. And all three of the people inside seem completely undisturbed. And you know that though they may have felt a shifting in energy, that the conversation you had was between only you and the Leaf Lord. And you feel the kind of weight of the old dwarf's eyes on your back, sitting at the other end of the clearing and waiting.
She kind of detaches her from the soil, sort of wiping the dirt off, returning to him. Well, that was a enlightening conversation, to say the least.
The dwarf kind of tilts his head slightly. Enlightening good or enlightening bad?
Enlightening, very, very bad.
Kind of sinks a little bit into his beard. Do I want to know?
All of nature is at risk of dying, so if you could help, that'd be wonderful.
And you get this just kind of like slow blink, and you have the distinct impression, though you can't see, that there's a kind of a hitch in breath from the orc behind you that he heard. He's trying very hard to concentrate and stay in meditation, but he heard. And the dwarf just kind of like takes a moment, and there's a slow breath in and a very long exhale. Okay. I'm not quite sure how to help with all of nature dying. Bit beyond my capabilities, I'm afraid. I know little things, little magics. Not big.
Little magic is better than no magic. Take all the help we can get.
He nods. Do you want Liliana to stay here for a couple hours
Sure.
and try to learn from him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just so above table you know, that means that she's essentially going to be removed until the next day.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So he will sit and begin to teach you what he knows. And will teach you more about the energy that the Leaf Lord mentioned, of positive energy. And I will write up something for you and send it to you.
Okay.
Okay. We will swing the camera back around again to the others, having watched this dwarf and Liliana wander off away from the temple district. And you're left with Finn, Trixie, and Booker for the moment. What are all of you doing?
Given that we're down a Mandy, how much do we want to accomplish?
Well, I can tell you as far, like, above table, unless Mandy went off on her own with Tayla, there is nothing specific to Tayla in the Temple District.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other plot things elsewhere on Bral. So it's not like you're going to move the entire story and plot along without Mandy.
Could do the Trixie Arena thing.
We'd have to leave.
I think we should continue with the stuff in the Temple District while we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. Booker would want to find the Temple of Celestian.
Okay. And are you just... Are the two of you, Trixie and Finn, just following along behind Booker since he seems to have a direction he is going? Or are you guys wanting to continue to look around and wander off on your own as well?
Using the buddy system currently.
Yes, that.
Okay. So, Booker, once Lily is out of sight, you can turn back towards the main walkway of the Temple District. You remember seeing a temple that has the 7 stars in a stained glass on its topmost level at the very end of the walk. Are you proceeding towards that, or are you wanting to poke around elsewhere?
Yeah, Booker will go straight towards that. He's already kind of poked around.
You know where you're headed?
Booker looks over his shoulder and realizes that he's being followed and just goes, right. Yeah. Church of Celestian. Over here.
Just clarifying, that's the one who gave you that dream, correct?
That would be correct.
Right, okay. Sorry, just clarifying,
Oh, understandable. Not every day we get dream visions.
I mean, not anyone I know. Well, not till now.
So as you approach this tall copper building, I need a perception check from Trixie specifically.
Okay. For some reason, my tab closed. Cool.
It says no perception check. Not today.
That's what you think.
I need to find a different... Let's see what this one sounds like. I don't know what this one sounds like. That's a little too intense. Give me a second. I'm fucking around with the sound. ADHD kicked in real hard.
Oh no.
I don't know what it was. That's the other half of the issue. This one? I will get my shit together one day. Today is not this day. 20. So as you approach this tall, copper question mark building with large windows, some of which just seem to be ornately carved into this stone metal. Others which are full of stained glass pictures that you can't quite make out from the outside. Trixie, you're kind of trailing behind Booker, just kind of looking around, taking in the sights still, and you see tucked away slightly to the side, slightly behind this building, positioned kind of in a corner of this temple district, you see a building made out of almost pure white stone, and carved into the front door and inlaid with silver is a full moon.
Pretty sure I recognize that.
Mm-hmm. You immediately know that this, though you don't know exactly to whom, you immediately know that that would be a temple of a lunar deity of some sort. And Booker, you continue through the front doors of this temple, and the Temple of Celestian, I should specify. And inside, you are immediately confronted by a massive circular room that seems to be made almost entirely out of copper, with archways leading into other rooms, each one seeming to have a different statue deep in the recess. And in the center of the room, you would recognize it, though you have never particularly had to use one, a massive telescope and observatory pointed at one of the windows set high in the third floor. And overarching all of it is an intricate, magicked metal lattice that seems to be reflecting the movements of what you can only assume to be either spatial bodies or wild space spheres themselves. And it is quiet inside, though you can see a few figures moving around. Most of them in long black robes that, as they move, seem to shimmer ever so slightly like starlight.
Booker just lets out a long, impressed whistle and he'll, walking forward, do a half turn, look behind him, trace the area around with his eyes, just take in all the scenery. And then he'll come up to or try to wave down one of the robed boys.
And as you wave down one, they look to you, and there's a nod of acknowledgement, but they turn away and seem to move away from you at first into one of the alcoved rooms. And there's a pause where they seem to be talking to somebody that you can't quite see. And out from around one of the archways walks this figure. tall, very elegant looking woman, clothed in the same black robe, but wearing a silver mask that covers her eyes. Though she doesn't seem to have any problems in moving and heading in your direction.
Huh. Booker, like, makes that kind of noise under his breath and tilts his head slightly. Hello there.
Hello. And who exactly would you be?
Ah, my name's Sarpen Booker.
There's a little nod of her head, an acknowledgement. You can call me Fellow.
Fellow.
Welcome to the College of Celestian.
Thank you for the warm welcome. So, I don't suppose you all have gotten any sort of vision from Celestian before?
And there's a kind of a pause, and she tilts her head slightly. What sort of vision are you talking about?
Well, not too long ago, I had a bit of a strange dream. And I saw that symbol, and he'll point to the one in the stained glass. In my dream. And it turns out little Celestian there seems to have taken a keen interest in me. And Booker's saying this not brashly or confidently. He's kind of nervous for some reason.
Would you happen to be a traveler?
That I am.
There's a tiny smile. He does tend to like those that see interest in things. Though
Well,
I can't say that many of us here have heard from him directly, if that's what you're saying.
I suppose not, but... Well... I guess... I could kind of use some... maybe a bit of guidance.
She nods. You're always happy to help those looking for aid of one sort or another. Is there any question in particular that you have? Or are you simply here to learn?
Well, if I can share with you a bit of what I saw in my vision here, maybe you could point me in the right direction.
I can try, though I cannot promise anything, of course.
He nods and then realizes that, like, her eyes are covered and just goes, thank you. Well, the long and short of it is I'm kind of sent here to look for aid. Celestian reached out to me to help him deal with something particularly foul and interesting. He said I could maybe find people here who are sympathetic to the cause.
And there's another kind of tilt of the head. That would depend on the cause.
Well, it's a bit of a big ask. But, I mean, trying to end up saving probably all of Wild Space. There's something out there. It goes by the name, or is referred to as the Harvester.
There's kind of a little frown. Not disapproving or upset, but one of thought and concentration. I'm not certain that I am familiar with that. I can ask the other followers and see if anyone has heard of that, if you would like.
Sure. Sure, I think I'll do that. Booker will go to, I guess, however many followers there are, and he'll see if any of them recognize the name Harvester at all.
She walks beside Booker, kind of guiding him towards certain people. Very clearly, in the way she moves, there are certain people that she is seemingly confident would not know.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, she goes to one or two others in similar black glittering robes. And they have the similar kind of, not angry, not upset, just concentration, and then I don't think I know. And they, as you ask and as you kind of like walk away and on to the next one, you can see that the question is being spread. So you ask one, then that person that doesn't know turns and goes to another. Almost like a web. From person to person to person. And as you walk through this temple and approach various people, you can see in each of the alcoves a different statue. Not a single one seems to bear any resemblance to or any marking of Celestian that you are aware of. Some are male, some are female, some are halfling and dwarf, and elf and firbolg, and in different settings and different clothing and different symbols around them. But each seemingly given a similar place of respect and attention in their own individual alcove. And finally you get to a three crane that's far more beetle-like than moth. And as you and Thello are speaking to this three crane, two others come up behind you and kind of very politely wait for you to finish talking. You turn, and there is a very old elf. Very old. To the point where, for one of the only times that you can remember Booker, you see an elf that is gray and wrinkled, standing beside a halfling that you had talked to and asked the question. And the elf gives you a very polite little nod. And he is not in the black robes of Thello or the halfling, but seems to be in actually silver and gold and copper robes, denoting something else, though you're not sure what. And the elf just kind of leaning on a cane that is in front of him, kind of looks you over. And despite his age, still has very clear, very sharp gray eyes. Almost like placing a young person's eyes in an old body. I'm not sure I've heard of a harvester, but can you describe what you saw?
He nods. It's a bit moth-like. Has an orange tint to it. Something like a plant or a crystal.
There's again that kind of furrowed brow of deep concentration, and he turns his hand over, and above it begins to use magic to create a small symbol that is the moth that you saw in your vision. Or at least the outline of it. And he looks back to you. Is this what you remember?
Yeah, that's it. That's it for sure.
Kind of dips his head a little bit in understanding. The image fades with the magic. It's not so much a name of a harvester then, but the act of harvesting that you saw. It is something that pierces into the very planet, is it not?
Well, how do we stop it? We can't let it do that.
He kind of shakes his head and slowly moves towards a bench to the side of this large round table or chamber and sits down. Kind of looks at you expectantly, expecting you to follow. And just kind of sighs. You can't stop the vines themselves. But if Celestian is asking you to move against them, I'd wager he's asking you to move against those that control them.
Sounds plain and simple to me.
And there's a little nod. Tell me, what exactly do you know about elves that live deep in the astral sea?
Not a whole hell of a lot, I'm afraid.
And he seems to kind of get lost in thought for a moment, kind of one finger tapping the top of his cane. I will tell you a story that I know. I cannot promise any of it is true, but in my experience, There's always some shred of truth in anything, even the largest lie. Will you hear it?
He nods. I'll listen to whatever you got to share.
There is a story that all elves that live in the Astral Sea, all of the various kingdoms and realms, even those favored by the gods themselves that live in their divine space, come from a single people, a single empire deep in the depths of the sea. So far, it's nearly in the void itself. An empire that lasted for more generations than any elvish empire does. But at the core was a wellspring of magic unlike anything else. I do not know what it was. Some say an actual well of magic water. Some say crystal of light, of power of magic itself. I've heard even tales of a tear in the veil between our world, our space, and the divine, where magic could leak through and be used. It was the source of their longevity, their success. This was the source of their empire. Something happened, though. Something twisted or corrupted or killed where that magic came from. And it left them desperate. So they sought to find another source or create one. And that is where elves of the Astral Sea began to splinter off. They went looking for this power, or some replacement, and some stayed true to their cause, while others got lost, or distracted, or found a life beyond this empire. But still the empire searched. It continues to search. Tales of the old travelers and spelljammers say that one of their machines looking for another source, trying to create another source of magic, comes in the form of those vines.
So these elves are out there trying to resuscitate some old magic source that died off somehow?
You just get this smallest of shrugs and kind of like hands turn. It is the only story I know that has something like what you describe. And the moth, the symbol that you have seen, is the mark of the very empire of these elves.
Deep inhale. And you said you might be able to point me to where these guys are to gather? Where they might be found?
He shakes his head. I only know the stories say they live deep in the astral sea. And that is a realm that, if you want to be lost in, you can be lost forever. There may be others who have been there that can lead you, but I'm afraid you'll have to find someone who knows where to look to guide you if you want to go.
You know, the slight, dissatisfied look from Booker. I gotta find a guide to find me. Those people who I might be able to pin something on. Well, do you know who might be someone able to guide me?
There's the elf just kind of shakes his head, but Fellow, who's kind of standing a few feet behind you, letting you and this elf have the conversation, kind of steps forward and, well, if this has anything to do with the elves that have visited the rock recently, I would wager those that are most dissatisfied with their presence might be the best shot that you have.
Okay. Well, that really narrows down where I'm looking at next. You don't happen to know anything about a Commodore Crux, do you?
Thello kind of shakes her head, but the halfling kind of pipes up. I don't know if it's the same Commodore, but I mean, I've heard that there's somebody that I think goes by that name that lives in Gift Town. So, I don't know, you can try there.
Booker nods. That gives me something to work off of. Well, I appreciate your help. All of you. Particularly you, old timer. No, Booker will give him a very, very light tap on the arm.
The elf just kind of smiles and nods. It is good to be able to share what I know. At least a little before. Oh, I forget it all.
Well, I'm sure Celestian likes having you around with all that up in your noggin.
There's a little laugh from Thello. Certain Celestian would agree with that. Is there anything else that we can help you with?
I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So Booker will kind of scrunch his nose for a second and then shake his head and be like, not at the moment. Just need a lead on where to go next. I owe Celestian a lot more than, I owe him a lot. For the moment. And I don't like owing people, so I aim to pay him back.
Othello just kind of smiles. I don't think you need to worry too much about that. Celestian is more than patient.
Booker nods and just goes, well, good to hear. Now, if you're all, if it's all good with you, I'll take my leave. I've got more leads to chase down.
Othello nods and kind of reaches out and takes your hand if you will let her.
Booker will, just confused at first.
She just kind of takes your hand between hers, and there is a very quick, kind of methodical movement of her fingers over your hand that you very quickly realize she is tracing your hand. Learning it. And as soon as she is done, she kind of clasps your hand between hers and nods very low, almost like a kind of like half bow to you. I do hope that you return if you are indeed one of the few that have seen Celestian. I imagine you'll have many stories to tell.
Maybe someday. I've got some of my own things to take care of after I help Celestian out, though. Maybe after that.
And she nods again and will release your hand. And as your hand is released, you see just for a brief moment what looks like the 7 stars almost glowing above your palm. And they disappear.
Ooh. Booker turns his hand over once or twice, and then looks up at Othello, or not Othello, looks up at Thello, and just he's looking at the visor like he would be looking into her eyes. He just kind of raises an eyebrow and says, do you mind if I ask what you did?
There's almost a coy little smile. Simply double-checking something that I suspected. It's nice to know sometimes if I'm right.
Booker, feeling a little bloated ego for a moment, will shrug and just smirk to himself. It was nice to meet you, fellow. And you, don't believe I caught your name, old-timer.
God damn it, Joe. Don't do this.
He's too important to not have a name. Wizened old sage must be named.
No, I don't like names. I'll just start giving you the most redneck names in revenge for this shit. Okay, let's see here. And the old man just kind of bows his head to you.
Veyro. Booker touches his head and then touches his nose as if to commit the name to memory. And then he'll start to gesture towards the door and say, "Well, pleasure to meet you both. And I'll be off. And I'll be back."
And they nod in your direction. Nobody moves to like stop you or get in your way. You can head towards the door. And out of curiosity, as Booker is heading towards the door, did Trixie follow Booker into this church? Or did she
Yeah.
veer off to the other temple?
She joined him, but like I feel like she probably stayed towards the entrance, not really wanting to interrupt.
So Booker, it takes a good couple of minutes. You see Booker kind of being moved around and guided around this temple before he returns, seemingly, I'm assuming, satisfied with the interaction.
Yes. Yeah. Booker is very satisfied with how that went.
And return to Finn and Trixie near the doorway.
Get any answers?
Sorta. Not perfect. But we got another lead.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Not the whole godly thing, anyways.
They all work in mysterious ways or something. But I'm hoping maybe if we chase down this Commodore Crux fella, we'll be able to get some answers out of him.
I mean, we're gonna find him anyways, so it works out.
That's what I was thinking.
I imagine she kind of started like making her way outside. It's like, hey, mind if we make a stop real quick? Like, you don't have to come with, but like, if you want, you don't have to.
Well, I'm in no rush.
Then I will take that as approval. It's like, yeah, I want to check this out real quick. She'll start heading towards the Moon Temple or church.
So, I will say that, because it is getting late, we will start next time with Trixie at the Lunar Temple. And wrap up the Temple District with that. And move on from there.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.